Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Lexington County School District 3 Board of Trustees regular monthly meeting. It is Tuesday, October the 17th, 2023, 6 p.m. We are meeting in the Lexington 3 District office, and all 7 members are present. Welcome you for giving up your Tuesday night and coming with us and visiting with us tonight. At this time, we are going to have our Pledge of Allegiance and our prayer led by Eric Toledo and Emmeline Luckadoo.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, we thank you for this day you've given to us. We ask that you be with us tonight and that you give our school board the wisdom and guidance they need to make the best decisions for our students, faculty, and staff. We ask that you bring peace to those overseas and here at home. We thank you for the knowledge that you've given our teachers, and please forgive us for our sins. Amen.
Thank you both for being with us tonight. Next item is approval of the agenda. Board members, you have your agenda in your packet. Without objection, the agenda will be approved as written. Agenda is approved. Also, you had your minutes of the September 12th, 2023 regular meeting. Without objection, we will approve those minutes. Those minutes are approved. Item 2.0, consent items, the financial report with Ms. Angela Roden.
Good evening. You received your packet, the cash analysis statement. The noteworthy items this month were the high school building construction house sale. We got a 10% down deposit, so hopefully that'll be getting moved in the next month. And the CIRA, this is our year 2 of that rural recruitment initiative, and this helps us retain teachers and get some of our uncertified staff certified through paying for tuition. And you'll also notice our bond revenue transfer for the month is about $5.2 million. We're paying for that, all that building that we're doing right now. So do you have any specific questions about the revenues and expenditure statements provided? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Item 2.2, the superintendent's report with Dr. Atkinson.
Thank you. We had another successful Teacher of the Year banquet, and I just want to congratulate Shaniqua Mays, a 5th grade ELA teacher from the elementary school. She is a marvelous representative of all that's the best and brightest in our district, and she will go on now to compete in the state competition, and I know that she will do well. I just would also like to thank Mackenzie Taylor for all her work in planning such a successful event. And also, we had 24 different community and business partners that contributed to the gifts and all that all of our teachers from all of our schools received for being selected as the School Teacher of the Year and the District Teacher of the Year. Again, it's just a great night and to celebrate our teachers. We had our first enrichment session on September 25th and 28th, and it was a huge success. I don't think I've heard one negative comment. I think we may have to start recruiting now because I believe that our numbers may double for the spring after everybody hears about what a great time and a great event it was. And I know I thanked them before, but I need to do it again. Jennifer Richardson and Brantley Mazart for all their work trying to get all this organized, all the sessions, all the people. We, like you would expect, we had a few students that showed up that surprised us. They didn't tell us they were coming. So, so they took that in stride and took care of all the needs of our students. But we ended up with 356 students that participated, 33 certified personnel and 9 non-certified personnel that helped make this a huge success as well. I also would like to recognize and congratulate our girls tennis team for the 2nd year in a row. They finished as the region champion, and they completed a perfect 8-0 region record. And I just wanted to congratulate Coach Jaworski and our entire girls tennis team. Few items about construction. We've made a lot of progress in the last month and try to kind of go through that litany of all the different things that have occurred since then. First of all, at the primary school, our library and our cafeteria passed their final inspection. They went over 2 weeks on the 4th and the 11th of October. Furniture is being set up actually today in the media center and in the cafeteria. So now Ms. Big Bo is going to have lots and lots of books, but we've got her a sub and give her some time to try to get that. I know she's excited, and we're all excited to have that new cafeteria, that new media center and cafeteria where there's actually natural light coming in for the first time. And as we talked before, we're going, a few years ago we gave all our students in all the districts in South Carolina eclipse glasses. I think we may need to bring those out because the primary school was so bright. They may need those as well. Our kitchen did well in the inspection, but it did have one more need, and that was with our dishwasher, and then with the hood, we actually was 2 needs, I guess, but those have been rectified, and so DHEC will be coming back to sign off on those, and so we expect to actually cook a meal on October 23rd in the new new kitchen at the primary school. The new atrium or lobby area where students will come in and out of the buses with their very own panther built into the floor, just like the high school. And it is an adult panther because we're panthers all the way through, so it is a beautiful floor there, and they'll see that every morning. But that is open along with some new restrooms that were built. Now this atrium and these restrooms, I just want to point out, were in the PE classroom that was built and designed for 1 teacher in 1 class, and 2 have been sharing for quite some time. So that now is the lobby atrium area. Also, the bus canopy is complete with the loading area, so for the first time our students were able to go in and out this year and most of last year without getting wet. And it's kind of interesting that the day they used it is the day it rained, so they were dry that day. We started teaching art in the new art room, so art on the cart has been put to rest. So that opened up this Monday. The old media center that has been repurposed into 4 large classrooms and some smaller classrooms and some teacher restrooms that were much needed as well. So once we get the cafeteria and the kitchen going, then we'll start working on the old cafeteria and kitchen, and that will be gutted and renovated into some additional classroom space. Namely, we'll have 2 PE classrooms in there now, full size. They can have PE at the same time and in the same kind of and have their own personal space. And then we have some smaller classrooms as well. So that'll start up probably on October the 23rd once we start cooking in the kitchen. Also, we will be having a sale, I believe, of.
We got to make sure DHEC blesses us.
Oh yeah, we're not going to sell the kitchen furniture until we're cooking in the oven. But so the old kitchen will be selling all the old equipment there once we know that the new kitchen is all working. We won't sell it ahead of time. The high school softball press box is now in the dry. If you haven't seen it, ride by there. See, it looks really nice. You won't be able to get inside of it unless you bring a ladder. We do have the metal steps are at the metal fabrication now being made, so we'll be able to get in. But they will start and put the siding on now, and the heating, air, and some of those other things, and start connecting the sound. And also, it really is a nice addition to our softball complex. The high school gym, the roof decking is pretty much installed. Now they're doing insulation. It's still not waterproof yet, so once they get the insulation down, then they'll start putting the membrane, and it will be in the dry pretty soon. I don't know if you can see it from the road, but the brickwork is being done between the existing gym and our new gym. So that will move along very, very quickly. As we have talked about before, the metal roof on the existing high school was called a mansard roof, and it, as we said, was in pretty bad shape because it was framed with 2x4s and plywood, which are not allowed materials in today's construction of schools. So we are taking that down, and we're going with a stucco product called EFIS. So that will blend in with the old and the new, and it will look pretty seamless there, and it really will make the whole campus look like a brand new school. The kitchen at the high school, I just have to give a shout out to our food service staff at the high school and Todd and all, because, as I've said before, we've not cooked a meal in the kitchen at the high school until October the 9th. So we have just started cooking meals there. So everything's been had to cook off-site or on the grill out back or the pizza oven. So as I tell the chamber every month, we are the largest producer of pizza in town. But they really did a tremendous job of taking care of our students. I don't know that you could say a teenager gets tired of pizza and hamburgers, but we served a lot of those to get by. The cafeteria at the high school, the rest of the new furniture will be delivered tomorrow. So for the first time, I believe, in maybe the history of the high school, every student in the high school can sit down at the cafeteria at the same time. At the high school, the science renovation, the renovations on the science hall, the old guidance suite, and then the guidance hallway renovations, they're wrapping up, and should wrap up around an inspection on November the 6th. And as soon as that happens, we'll play fruit basket turnover again, and our teachers will shuffle around so that we can then start working on the math hall and that last little hall beside the renovated cafeteria. And that will wrap up everything on the inside. Will be all completely renovated, and new floors and new ceilings and sprinkler systems. So that should be wrapping up fairly quickly. Last month, I told you all about our backpack program at the primary school, that's headed up by Merritt Bishop. Since that time, Palmetto Gourmet Foods from Saluda heard about our backpack program, and they so generously dropped off 2 pallets of food. Now, they're a ramen numeral. I'm a math teacher, ramen noodles, so I want to say ramen numerals, but so that was 2,400 cups of the ramen noodle soup that were able to go home in backpacks. That, as I told some of our primary school students, might as well get ready to be get used to being a college student and eating ramen noodles a little sooner than normal. So anyway, we're appreciative of them taking care of being able to do that. And then last, you might have saw the pictures in the hallways, but our very own Todd Beatonbow went to the South Carolina School Nutrition Association, and they have a scholarship competition. Do we have that picture? We don't have it, do we? It's so anyway, he has now been coordinated the South Carolina School Platinum Jubilee King for raising the most money for scholarships for children of food service employees in South Carolina. So congratulations. So that's all I have tonight. So
Okay, thank you. Any cards, Jennifer? All right, no cards, so we will move on to item 4.0, information items. 4.1, school board member continuing education, debriefing the 2023 SCSBA Risky Business Seminar. And I will let Ms. Carey and Ms. Baltnight fill us in on that.
Okay. The Risky Business Seminar provided a variety of general sessions, including JOLT, New Perspectives on Leadership, Empowered to Grow, Risky Policies. And during that session, there was a discussion of policies that need to be updated. Some are new. And I'm very proud to say that tonight on our agenda, we have the first reading for a new policy, one that they recommended that we take a look at and add. And another one is one that we are updating, and it too was on the list. So we're on top of that. The last session was presented by Beth Chapman. And Beth has worked as a cabinet member for a governor and a press secretary for a lieutenant governor, and she's worked closely with the Alabama legislature. And the session was titled Life Lessons for Your Daily Life and Work, How to Avoid the Icebergs. And here she concentrated on the lessons learned from the Titanic. And I'm just going to go through some of them. She had a very interesting presentation on these. The first one that she talked about was be prepared. Have a strong foundation. Sometimes it's better to attack problems head on. Be nice to people. Listen to your constituents. You can be on the right track and still be hit by the train. Always ask questions. Never give up. Do things that take zero talent but make you 100% effective. And examples of that would be being on time and just smiling, just a nonverbal communication. Have thick skin, be honest with yourself and others, get your message across in creative ways, advocate for something good, realize there is a difference in wants and needs, focus on your needs. Be hard on issues and soft on people. Give the greatest percentage of yourself each day. Assume nothing. Get your facts straight before you act. Realize life has ups and downs, and you need them both in order to grow. Get off the sidelines. Have a core set of values, and she referred to them as the Mickey Mantle values. Stay true and value your core. And I thought this was a great session for ending the conference.
Thank you.
One of the, we could choose certain programs that we wanted to attend or certain presentations. And one of the ones that I listened to was Critical Infrastructure and Cybersecurity in South Carolina, and it was presented by the program coordinator of the South Carolina Critical Infrastructure Cybersecurity Program. So South Carolina does have a program in place to help different agencies protect against this. And just a definition of cybersecurity is the protection against digital attacks. But I think most astounding were some of the facts and figures that she put in front of us. Tesla, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, and Walmart combined annual revenue totals only $1.28 trillion. Only. Cybercrime earns $1.5 trillion annually, even more than those corporations. The $1.5 trillion that cyber criminals earn is equal to Russia's gross domestic product. If cybercrime were a country, it would have the 13th highest GDP in the world. It is huge. It is estimated that cybercrime will cost the world $10.5 trillion annually by 2025. The last one was the most concerning. Organized criminal gangs account for 55% of the cyber attacks. And that leads to this. When a cyber gang chooses to attack the school district, they have already researched that district and have found out what their cybersecurity capabilities are and how much ransom they can afford to pay. They've done their homework. And we have had one case locally that was mentioned in this locally within the state, and it was 2019, we probably have more. But you think South Carolina's never going to hear this, but we do. We do. So I just thought that was something that we would all like to avoid, but we can't. And so we do all we can to prevent it. Thank you.
Good. Thank you both. Item 4.2 is the school board member continuing education debriefing the CASBA 2023 Federal Advocacy Conference. And I attended this conference the last week in September. It was in Washington. I was there with fellow board members and representatives from 25 different states across the United States. We had 3 main goals and that we focused on, and it was, again, top of the list is always full funding of IDEA. I mean, that's just something, when they're supposedly to fund 40% and we're getting 13%, it's just unreal. We talked about broadband connectivity and cybersecurity, E-rate, and expansion. And we talked about the child nutrition program. We did not get to meet with our representatives because that week they were all in meetings trying to avoid the shutdown. So we did meet with the staffers, and a lot of times your staffers will get more done sometimes than your representatives. But when I talked with Representative Wilson, staffer, I told him that we have to put into our budget roughly 3.3 times what the IDA pays us. And just think, as a small rural district, what we could do with our money, that we can offer competitive teacher salaries, and because we have to compete with some districts around us that pay better salaries. So I stressed, I said, we could do a lot with those funds. I told him, as far as the broadband, that we are still a rural area, and we have families that have issues with getting internet and hotspots and anything they can keep focusing on to help there. We talked about the child nutrition program and talked about providing funds to cover the higher cost of food, to give us some flexibility to allow us to fix healthy meals that children will eat, and to extend nutrition waivers. And this was really important that we stress that, because had they have shut down the government, your WIC programs, your SNAP, your EBT, they were only funded for 2 weeks. And if you have the government shut down for 30 days, where are these kids going to get money to get food from? So we stress, you got to look at the whole picture on this. You need to come together and work together. So I don't know whether we make an impact or not, but I did get a report that Representative Wilson and Senator Graham did vote in favor of the resolution to avoid the shutdown. I would like to think it was because South Carolina was there telling them what they needed to do, but all in all, they did support while we were there. So now if we can just get them to work on this other stuff, we'll be good. All right, let's move on to action items. 5.1, first reading of the Lexington School District 3 2024-2025 school calendar with Mackenzie Taylor and Sonia Bryant.
Good evening, Madam Chair and fellow Board of Trustees members. Ms. Bryant and I are so excited to be here this evening to present to you our proposed calendar for the 2024-2025 calendar here in the district. We recognize that many of our Panther families do plan ahead and are trying to plan trips and other activities way far in advance, so we're working to make sure that we get these calendars out to them in a timely manner. You all received a copy of our proposed calendar in your board packets. I would like to point out that this proposed calendar is very similar to the calendar that we are currently doing here in Lexington 3, and it has been vetted by our Lexington 3 Teacher Forum and received their stamp of approval as well. It also meets the South Carolina Code of Law requirements that say our school term must be 190 days, with 180 of those days being instruction-based. The calendar must cover at least 9 months. School districts are not supposed to start before the third Monday in August. However, because we have labeled this as a modified calendar, we can slide past that rule. There must be 10 staff professional development days built into the calendar, as well as 3 school makeup days for bad weather. And we also have to be closed on Election Day in November of each even-numbered years. And of course, this calendar does meet all of those requirements. So without further ado, we can dive right into the proposed calendar. As we have it here, our teachers would return to school on July 22nd, and they would have 6 full days of professional development or work time in their classrooms. We have tentatively scheduled our Meet the Teacher event for Thursday, July the 25th, and students will begin the school year on Tuesday, July 30th this year. The month of August is pretty much business as usual, with the exception of a professional development day on August the 30th, and we scheduled this year at the request of our principals so that teachers could have parent-teacher conferences on that day in anticipation of the upcoming enrichment session week that we have planned for September, so that they could go ahead and speak with parents of students who might benefit from some of the academic support during that time frame. On Monday, September the 2nd, we have a Labor Day holiday, and then an early release day there on September the 4th. And then we do have our enrichment session week built in the week of September the 23rd through the 26th. And like Dr. Atkinson mentioned earlier in his report, we have just received rave reviews of our enrichment session camps that we had. And students got to participate in everything from sports camp to Lego camp to basketball camp to art camp, photography camp. And I know I had two boys myself who hopped up every single morning just excited and ready to go to school. And so it was very refreshing. And I know I've heard from lots of other folks who had wonderful experiences during that week. So kudos to our academic planning team who worked so hard on all of that. Our schools would then be closed September the 27th for a holiday, and then we would have fall break September 30th through October the 4th. October, all of that's pretty much business as usual. We do get into November with a holiday there on November the 5th, and that would be for the Election Day holiday. We have our second early release day of the school year on November the 6th. And then on November the 26th, we have our built-in bad weather makeup day, which of course would become a holiday if we didn't use it. Thanksgiving holidays run from November the 27th through the 29th. And then in the month of December, we get a full 3 weeks of instruction in with a half day for students on December the 20th. And we start winter break there December the 23rd, and that runs through January 3rd. And from here, I'll turn it over to Ms. Bryant to talk about our second semester.
Okay, on January 6th, we have a staff development day. That's particularly important because this is particularly at the high school. They're changing semesters and it's starting turning the ship around. So we need that day there. And then students would return on January 7th. And then we're in the long haul after Martin Luther King on January 20th. You know, that's that hard time, but we're going to have an early release on February 5th, and then a bad weather day on Valentine's Day, February 14th. And we should be able to have that time out because of our e-learning program. So we thought it was real important that teachers had at least a break from kids at least once a month. And March, then you'll see that we have again, an early release on the 5th, and then that break from kids where we do another teacher conference day that would prepare us for our next enrichment section. Our principals were adamant about needing that time so that teachers are wanting that back. We kind of lost it during COVID, and we're returning to that. And then, of course, in April, Easter is a little bit late this year. We would have, in theory, we've liked to have had that a little early, but I think it's real important that our spring break coincide with Easter for religious reasons and Good Friday and those kinds of things. So we'd have enrichment on the 7th through the 10th of April, and then spring break following that week when the district will be shut down. And then in May, goodness knows we need a bad weather day on Poultry Festival Friday, because who's coming to school anyway? The rides are up. So we're going to have a bad weather day there, and we're going to hopefully utilize our e-learning. And then we'll have Memorial Day on the 26th. We'll come back and we'll finish up. Students will finish on a half day on Thursday the 5th. Teachers will finish on the 6th. And that preserves our 6 weeks of summer. I think we'll be able to get our 6 weeks of summer in because of that. So we just appreciate your efforts in supporting our modified calendar this year. I think that we've heard so many positives. I lived in a whole lot of envy during fall break when I saw all the teachers and all the cool things they were doing. So we are now open for any questions that you may have. We tried, but it was really important. We were trying to preserve the 6 weeks, and we wanted to work in those professional development days because the principals, speaking on behalf of teachers, really wanted us to be able to have that and to maintain the integrity of those 2 weeks. If we're going to have an enrichment week followed by a break week for everyone, we looked at every single day. And we really think that this is our best option.
Another thing that we're hearing is that that the State Department and the legislators are going to look a little closer at what is a modified calendar, and by definition, a modified calendar is one that has at least one student day in every month of the year. So I think there
Every
might be
month.
some districts that are calling it a modified
Modified
calendar. It's not really a modified, may
I'd
have to
agree.
adjust.
I think they might have to change that just a bit.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
What day in June do you have for graduation?
We actually have scheduled graduation on the 25th of May. Isn't that right? It's the Friday.
That's for this
Oh,
school
that's
year.
this school year. We haven't scheduled
Not
graduation
scheduled
yet.
For the proposed.
But usually we try around that time,
It's 24th this year.
24th this year. It's a Friday.
So
And
the
we'll
next time-
go similar.
Probably would be the 23rd, if we stay with the same.
We try to have our seniors finished up by Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Is there a reason that you don't make the bad weather makeup days closer to the end of the semester?
Honestly, we do it because now with e-learning, it kind of really doesn't matter where they are, and it's about giving teachers that break throughout the year.
We don't have to have those built in, but law says we have to have those built in.
Right. We don't really need them anymore, but the law still requires it. And we tried to space them out in times like, obviously, we couldn't get the full week at Thanksgiving this year because we were counting days and where we were. So that gets us the 4 days at Thanksgiving, which is still, a good amount, especially for families who are traveling. And then, I joke about the Poultry Festival, and that's a good day for us, because that's not the most productive day in school in Batesburg-Leesville. I think that gives us the flexibility rather than putting them at the end.
Of course, heaven forbid if something really, weather related, it was catastrophic or something would happen, and we didn't have those free, bad weather makeup days, then the board would not have their authority to be able to forgive 5 days on top of that, if something really,
Right.
severe would happen.
And there are certain restrictions to using e-learning. We're not allowed to use them if we're actively in a hurricane and people are having to evacuate. And so we have to build those in the event that situations like that.
There's at least one incident, and I think there might have been two, but on September 2nd, we have Labor Day holiday, and then we come back for the 3rd, and then we get out early for half a day on the 4th. Would there be any way to somehow maybe move the early release day up a day and do a half a day? It's just you come back a full day, and then you're out a half a day. That's so odd in a classroom.
I just think we try to keep those consistent, so
the
schools
Wednesday.
planning,
Yeah.
and it's just consistently been that first Wednesday, and our families kind of know that. So I think I would be a little bit nervous about moving that, just because it's our structure.
Yeah, and I thought
And,
about that. It's just odd to come back a half a day and then,
Right,
I still think we have some families or some people that are off on Wednesday afternoon.
right.
a few businesses are off on Wednesday.
Any other questions? All right. Do we have any motions?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve first reading of the Lexington School District 3 2024-2025 school calendar as presented.
We have a motion from Ms. Derrick for first reading approval of the Lexington School District 3 2024-2025 school calendar as presented by the administration. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Ms. Faulknight. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, we have some first reading policy approvals, and if there's not an objection, we are going to combine 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, and 5.5 in one presentation. So at this time, Todd Beatonbow is going to present first reading approval for policy JLCDB, use of life-saving medications. First reading approval of policy ARJJIE-R, random student alcohol and drug testing programs, first reading approval of policy JLCD, assisting students with medications, and first reading approval of policy JLCD-R, assisting students with medication. Mr. Beatonbow?
Thank you, Madam Chair, school board members, Dr. Atkinson. Thank you all for allowing us to bring these policies before you tonight. So we'll start with policy JLCDB, use of life-saving medications. This is a new policy for us in District 3. This policy puts in place on the occasion, and I say that underline, hopefully a very rare occasion, that we have to use emergency medications to treat students and staff members with experiencing medical emergencies. This policy will allow our trained medical staff, our school nurses, to administer emergency medications. We have, I'm sure you're all aware, we have been given Narcan by DHEC, and we have it in our possession now. This will allow us to administer that. I hope it expires before we have to ever administer it, but this will allow us to use that in the event that we needed to. So this is a new policy, and this is from the School Board Association. This is their model policy that we're doing. So I'd like to move ahead then. Policy JJIER is the random student alcohol and drug testing. This was last brought to you in 2000, or to the board in 2018, and we simply want to just change the administrative rule just for one word, removing the word urine, and we will just be taking a sample from students. This, at times, you know, if we have to have students come in, it's harder. This will allow us to be less intrusive and just take a swab sample. It's costs less, it's less invasive for us and for the students. So we would just remove the word urine and just take a sample. Policy JLCD and Administrative Rule JLCDR are assisting students with medications. This was last brought to the board in 1999, so we've taken the School Board Association policy, their model policy, and have modeled our policy after that. And this allows us basically to treat students if they need medications and how we are to do that with our trained medical staff, and allows us, it also would deal with the life-saving medications if we had to do that. So these policies are updated, and we kind of bring them to you tonight for your approval. So any questions?
I was going to say, you had these in your packets. I know I kind of combined them and rushed through. So if you have any questions on any of them, feel free to address Mr. Beatonbow. All right, no questions? Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
All right, so we have heard the presentation. Do I have any motions?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we give first reading approval of policy JLCDB, use of life-saving medications, policy ARJJIE-R, random student alcohol and drug testing program, policy JLCD, assisting student with medications, and policy JLCD-R, assisting students with medications, as presented by the administration.
All right, we have a motion to give first reading approval to policy JLCDB, use of life-saving medications, policy ARJJIE-R, random student alcohol and drug testing program, policy JLCD, assisting students with medications, and policy JLCD-R, assisting students with medications. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Carey. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Item 5.6, approval to send board members to the COSBA 2024 Annual Conference at the Hilton on February the 22nd through the 25th in Dallas, Texas. As you all know, board members, our policy states that we must have board approval for members to attend any conference out of state. This is the COSBA Annual Conference, and we just need approval so that if anyone is interested, they can let Ms. Jennifer know and be registered. So, do I have any motions?
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion that we give first reading, give approval to send the board members that would choose to go to the COSBA 2024 Annual Conference at the Hilton on February 25th through 22nd through 25th, 2024 in Dallas, Texas.
We have a motion to approve sending board members to the COSBA 2024 Annual Convention at the Hilton on February the 22nd through the 25th, 2024 in Dallas, Texas. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Derrick. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. Item 6.0.
Madam Chair, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Have a motion from Ms. Derrick to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Carey. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned.
I know.